This week's Sedra VaYechi, the Torah tells us that following the Petira, the passing of Yaakov Avinu, that the brothers of Yosef took a look at Yosef's behavior following the death of his father, and they noticed that they were no longer being invited to his table, as it were. And they said, Lu Yistamenu Yosef, perhaps Yosef will now, understandably, very naturally, very humanly, will seek revengeance for what we had done to him. And therefore they commanded the sons of Bilhah to approach Yosef, saying to him as follows, your father commanded, Yaakov Avinu commanded prior to passing away, Yosef, this is what you should say to Yosef. You should beat your breasts. Please forgive the iniquity of your brothers and their sin, for they indeed have done you so wrong. And please forgive them. And they went and they delivered the message on behalf of the entire family of Yaakov Avinu, on behalf of all of the brothers. Yosef, and Yosef, of course, cried, and we know that he turned to them and he said, what you intended to do to me was not the intention of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you were effectively only his shluchim, his messengers, in seeing to it that I should be found in Egypt, be appointed the viceroy, and save the entirety of our family in the years of famine. Rashi points out, however, that when the message that was born to Yosef was, Avicha tziva, your father commanded, says Rashi, Shinu b'davar, b'nei hashalom. They altered the truth, b'nei hashalom, in the name and the quest for peace. Kilo tziva Yaakov came, because Yaakov Avinu had, in truth, never commanded this to be done. Shlo nechshad Yosef be'enot, because he never would have assumed, even for a moment's time, that Yosef would have taken revenge upon the brothers. Difficult Rashi, difficult Chazal. And perhaps Pshat is as follows. When we read of the transportation of the remains of Yaakov Avinu by Yosef and the entourage that had assembled to pay him homage, journeying to the land of Eretz Yisrael to bury him in the Ma'aras Machpelah, we are told, Vayal Yosef, that Yosef went up Likboris Aviv to bury his father. Vayalu, he told Kol Avdei Pharaoh, that all of the servants of Pharaoh accompanied him, Ziknei Veso, all the elders of the house of Pharaoh, B'chol Ziknei Eretz Mitzrayim, and all the elders of Egypt, B'chol Beis Yosef, and the entire household of Yosef, Ve'echav, and Yosef's brothers. But when they returned, Rashi points out, the pasuk states, upon the return, Vayoshev Yosef Mitzrayim, Yosef returned to Egypt, Hu ve'echav, he and his brothers, v'chol ha'olam ito, and everyone else who had accompanied the mace towards the Ma'aras Machpelah. And says Rashi, why is the order switched? Going to the land of Eretz Yisrael, it is first the household of Paro and the elders of Paro and Yosef and his brothers, whereas upon the return, it's Yosef and his brothers and then everyone else. Because when everyone who was part of the party accompanying the Aron, the casket of Yaakov, saw the huge kavod, the huge honor and respect, when they heard the hespedim that were delivered prior to his burial, when they heard the eulogies, then indeed, all of them, all of the Umos Ha'olam, the nations of Canaan, took their crowns and they placed it upon the Aron, or around the Aron of Yaakov Avinu. And I couldn't help but think to myself, isn't it true for all of us that at one time or another, you go to a levaya, you go to a funeral of someone that you believed you knew, and you hear the story of that person's life, and you hear things about that individual that you were never privy to. And you walk away and you walk home and you say to yourself, my gosh, I knew the person so well, and I never knew that he did this. I never knew that this was close to his heart. I never knew that he was that kind of magnanimous individual. I never began to appreciate who this person was. Why now, I have to change my life somewhat. I have to try to pattern myself according to what that person was like. It's as if you walk away from the funeral and you say, I never really appreciated who this person was. And now I have to change. Well, you know, the sons of Yaakov Avinu accompanied the casket of the father to bury in Maris Machpelah. But during those words of Hesped delivered in the land of Canaan, they learned things and heard things about their father that even they who lived with him, who were raised by him, never fully appreciated and understood who he was. And they saw the endless esteem in which he was held by the Umos HaOlam, let alone the household of Paro, understanding and appreciating that it was only due to the bracha, to the blessing given by Yaakov Avinu to Paro, that after the first 2 years of the 7 years of hunger predicted, that the hunger effectively came to an end. And they came home and they said to themselves, my gosh, what large shoes we have to fill. How differently we need begin living our lives in accordance with the way that our father Yaakov Avinu would have acted and would have had us act in turn. So when they came home and they saw that they were afforded such esteem and such honor by the household of Paro, because who they were, and they appreciated what the expectations were from them, given the fact that they were the sons of Yaakov Avinu. Then Vayetzavu el Yosef Lemar, they commanded Yosef, thus saying, Avicha tziva lefnei moso Lemar, your father commanded prior to his death, having said, Kosomru Yosef, please forgive your brothers. Because they knew that had Yaakov Avinu been alive, he would have presented himself before Yosef. He would have fallen upon him, as it were, and said, please, you must forgive your brothers for their foolishness, for their out-of-step turn. That's what Yaakov would have done. And therefore, they well appreciated that that was first theirs to do. How differently they came away as individuals, as brothers, and as the sons of Yaakov from that funeral. How greatly they were changed, and therefore, how differently they presented themselves before Yosef. Have a wonderful Shabbos.